Hello everyone, my name's Hannah and I'm a paediatric speech and language therapist. In today's video, we'll be looking at how best to model sounds with the children that you're working with. How we model sounds is really important as this helps children to recognise how to move their mouth in order to get the sound that we want them to create. For the purpose of this video, we'll be talking about two sounds. The first sound is the D sound. So for each sound, we move our mouth in a different way. With the D sound, if you try to make that sound now, you should feel the tip of your tongue just behind your teeth. You should be able to feel the tip of your tongue touching the bumpy bit just behind your teeth. For the G sound, you should be able to feel the back of your tongue going up against the top of your mouth. So try that with me, G. As you can see, the two sounds are different. The D sound is a front sound, as you can feel the tip of your tongue behind your teeth, whereas the G sound is a back sound, as the back of your tongue raises up against the roof of your mouth. Firstly, when you're modelling sounds, you want to make sure that the space you're in is very quiet. This is to help prevent all distractions and allow the child to focus on the sound itself. We understand that in schools this can be particularly difficult. However, finding a spare classroom or a place in a corridor that is nice and quiet would be helpful for the child. When you're working with the child, make sure that they're able to see your face so that you're sat directly in front of them. You want to make sure that you're on the same level as the child. So if the child is sat at the table, you need to be sat across from them at the table. If the child is on the ground, then you need to be sat on the ground with them, ensuring that they can see your face. Open the session by introducing the sound that you want the child to create. So let's take the D sound. So you would open the session with, okay, so today we're going to be working on our D sound. It might be helpful for you to bring a mirror for the child, so place the mirror in front of them when they're doing the sound. So when you've started your session on a particular speech sound, you want to explain to the child how the sound is made. So let's take the G sound, for example. So the G sound is created by the back of our tongue going up against the top of our mouth. So this is a back sound, as we talked about before. Sometimes a child will make the G sound in the front of their mouth, so it will sound more like a D sound. To stop this from happening, your speech and language therapist will give you some tips and tricks that will help the child create the sound at the back of their mouth rather than at the front of their mouth. So one example, so if the child is creating the G sound as a D sound, you might encourage your child to hold down the tip of their tongue so that they're able to raise just the back of their tongue towards the top of their mouth. Another tip and trick that your speech and language therapist might give you is for the child to open their mouth really wide and tilt their head back. Again, this just helps the child to move just the back of their tongue up against the top of their mouth. Whilst modelling sounds, you may also want to use cued articulation. So as you've seen in the video, I've been using cued articulation. So let's have a look at our two sounds. So the D sound is created by your forefinger and middle finger moving away from your face. So D, D. Whereas the G sound is created by your forefinger and middle finger being curled slightly against your neck, forward and backwards. So G, G. Using cued articulation is really helpful for some children as it gives them some visual reinforcement as to how to create the sound in their mouth. For further information on cued articulation, please pause the video now and have a look at the information provided. Other prompts that you may want to use when working with your child to help them create the sound are visual images or objects of reference. So for example, when working on the D sound, you may want to show the child a picture such as this. So this is a picture of a drum. Sometimes this association with different objects helps the child to remember how to make the sound. So again, for the D sound, you may want to use the drum image or the drum object of reference. So da, 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 da. This can be really useful again for helping children to remember how we make the sound. Another way to help children remember how to make the sound is by giving very specific positive feedback. Now I know it's easy to say well done or that was great. However, if we make that feedback more specific, this can really help the children to remember how to make the sound correctly. So for example, when working on the D sound, giving feedback such as, wow, that was a lovely D sound I just heard, or well done, I can see your tongue placed against that bumpy ridge at the back of your teeth. This just helps the child really focus in on what to do when creating the sound. When modelling sounds with children, our main piece of advice is to stay patient. It can take children time to learn how to make a new sound and to adapt their behaviours from the way they were making the sound before. For further advice, please speak to your speech and language therapist, or if you need help on how to create the sound further.